Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to our I.C.E. podcast. I stands for Inspire, Collaborate, and Encourage, and is the brainchild of myself and my husband, Jay. Jay is producing today, so he's not going to be on the camera, maybe later, but I think actually when he's helping with questions, he's just going to have an icon up. This will be a weekly podcast that we will host live, but they're also going to be available for replay on our Facebook channel as well as our new YouTube channel, and we can post the links to those later. Each week we will interview a guest or guests that we felt to have an interesting story to tell about our three key words: inspire, collaborate, and encourage. During the most recent stay-at-home orders of the COVID-19 virus, both Jay and I found comfort and knowledge in others. The podcasts we watched were from others in our industry, business coach style individuals, and also from general people who just had an inspiring story to tell. We enjoy helping people, and we're hoping that this can help others. We all like to general people like ourselves that just have a positive outlook on business as well as life in general. We are excited to bring you this each week at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time every Thursday. We will also have the ability in many of the presentations to ask questions of our guests. So without further ado, let us get to our first ever I.C.E. guests. Our kickoff guests for I.C.E. are a local husband and wife team, Seth and Elizabeth Lintelman. They are from Sherburn, Minnesota, in the far southern portion of the state, and they own Cup and Saucer, an award-winning dining establishment that hangs their apron on being able to provide fresh, local scratch cooking. Seth serves as the chef, and Elizabeth is the general manager and director of career services. Welcome, Seth and Elizabeth.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hello. Let Jay get the background off of there. Thanks for joining us today. I know you guys both have very busy schedules. You work together to run a local dining establishment that focuses on fresh and locally grown products as much as possible. And then Elizabeth, you also have a full-time career outside of the Cup?
That's correct.
Yeah. But you're able to work doing that alongside, or do you have to go somewhere?
Yeah, so I have an office in the back of the restaurant that I work remotely from most of the time, and then I do have to travel occasionally as business demands.
Nice. You're also parents to two terrific kids. What are their names and ages?
Addison will be 8 at the end of this month, and Parker will be 3 in September.
Oh, nice. With your hectic schedules, there's a lot to get done in the day. What are your inspirations for the future of the Cup?
Well, there's this little thing called COVID-19, which was, a global pandemic, which has kind of forced us to think maybe a little bit differently about some of the things that had worked really well for our business. So, for example, once a month we do a 6-course tasting menu, and those are by reservation only. And our wait list has been out for about 3 years. That's how long people have to wait for a reservation. And what happens is I would call them several months in advance, and then I'd call them like a month in advance to confirm, and then I'd call them one more time. And because of COVID, we have a lot of people that rightfully so aren't comfortable,
Right.
getting out and dining. And so that's a lot of extra phone calls. And so we've had to kind of reevaluate our monthly tasting menus, the demand, the limited seating capacity that we have, and just think a little bit differently about how we can continue to deliver that service, maybe in a more efficient manner. And so now we're transitioning to only taking reservations. They're essentially tickets where guests would purchase that. They become available the first of the month for the following month. At noon Central Time, they can go on our website, reserve their tickets, pay for them in advance, and then those are their seats. So it's kind of a first serve basis. So for folks that had been waiting 1, 2, 3 years, now they don't have to wait that long as they are logging into the website and reserving those tickets right away. So we've, in the face of the global pandemic, we've had to just think a little bit more creatively about how to best service our customers.
Yeah, we've had to do that too. I've called it the pause and pivot.
Right.
Think about how can I do this now? And I think a lot of businesses have had to do that. And the ones who are going to survive, I think, are thinking outside the box. And it would have been really easy just to hang our head and go, okay, we're done.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, share with us the encouragement your business provides to your family unit, not just as a business.
I think as far as like what our business provides for encouragement for our family is just we grow a lot of our product locally or just right outside in our garden. So like I think encouraging as a family, we get the kids out there. We're all involved in raising our produce, and showing the kids that like the start all the way from the start of a seed all the way to the finishing product of bringing stuff in and using it in the business and helping it to offset our costs and run our business. So I think that's a big thing that encourages our family in that way.
I think it also teaches them a really good work ethic too, because they can see you guys modeling that, and you guys are working together as a family. So it's family bonding time, and hey, we need to get this done in order to provide for the community as well as ourselves. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
The opening of the cup came as a result of winning an essay contest. Tell us about that and the collaboration involved in not only you and your family, but some of the other parties like the community citizens, friends, family, and overall business relationships you had to quickly establish to get open.
Well, that's let me see if I can touch all those. So yeah, we won through an essay contest. Of course, I give most of the credit to Elizabeth. I always tell people like she writes really good essays, and I can cook fairly well, and that's kind of what landed us where we are today. To work together has worked out well for us so far. I think as far as collaborating between the two of us and our family in that aspect of it, getting all of our stuff together and getting moved down here and that whole process was very quick. And we ended up we moved in with my folks for like 3 years and kind of jammed all of our stuff into their house, and so collaborating as a family was pretty huge on that side of things.
Then we're like the local farmers that you have relationships with. How were those cultivated, or how quickly?
Those just kind of came. We started doing what we were doing, and it was providing locally sourced product as much as we possibly could. And we started going to the farmers markets, and we started using our product, and just the fact that we were advertising that we use local product brought people to us. So over the course of 7 years now, it's just been, people coming into the restaurant and saying, "Hey, I raise mushrooms. Do you guys want to purchase mushrooms? I produce honey. I produce, locally sourced, the olive oil that we use." There's just an array of different things that we've procured over the years from different vendors, and they've kind of just, fortunately for us, have come directly to us and said, "I've got this product to sell. Are you guys interested in purchasing it?" So
nice. I think that's absolutely fantastic. Elizabeth, I found one of your comments in the pre-interview to be very touching. If you would please share with us the inspirational message you and Seth are trying to instill in your daughters and your family.
Yeah. So as you kind of alluded to, we won this restaurant in an essay contest. So just to kind of rewind and give a little background, Seth and I met and started dating when I had just graduated high school. So I was just launching my educational career. I was going to the University of Minnesota to pursue my bachelor's degree. I was waiting tables. Seth and I fell in love, eventually got married. And we had this, this big dream of, one day, wouldn't it be nice if we owned a restaurant or maybe a food truck? And I think a lot of young people probably have aspirations like that, especially chefs. They want to work for themselves. They don't want somebody else telling them what they can and can't.
Right.
And so we had big dreams, but financially it was not going to be in our cards to open a restaurant. It's very expensive.
Right.
And a risky endeavor. A lot of restaurants fail within the first 3 years of being in business. And so we had it on the back burner and we started our family. And in the interim, I had continued my career, my professional career. I had earned my master's degree. I was working my way up and found a niche in higher education, something that I'm super passionate about. And so I was moving my career along as Seth was moving his culinary career along. And then we won this restaurant in an essay contest. So my mother-in-law had texted me and said, there's an essay contest to win a restaurant. We said, cool, let's write an essay. So we wrote an essay. We submitted that in March. We had an interview in April. We found out we won in May.
Oh, wow. That's quick.
It was very quick. Yes.
Yeah, like I said, it went really fast.
And so when I got the phone call, I was sitting at work in my office in Bloomington, and I got a phone call saying, you won the restaurant. And I had a bit of a panic attack because I'm like, oh, okay. And I thought to myself, I'm going to have to give up my career and everything that I've spent the past 10 years building. I'm going to have to give that up to run a restaurant. And I thought about it and why? Why do I have to give it up? Why do I have to give it up? Why can't I be a mom and a working professional and an entrepreneur with my husband? Why can't I do all those things? And so with the support, with the huge support of family and friends, we're able to make that work. And I'm very fortunate to have, to work for an organization that believes in balance and will let me work remotely. And my husband, who's very patient with me as I try to, have lots of balls in the air. But
right.
I want my children, and I want, and not just my children, I want to set an example for our youth and for those of you that aren't youthful, to understand that you don't have to choose one hat. You can wear multiple hats and you can do it successfully as long as you have the support structure in place to make sure that you're not standing alone. You have the people that support you to make that happen. So that's what I'm really passionate about, and I hope my children see every day.
I think that's fantastic. I actually was part of a live or watched a live yesterday that had one of my friends in it, and she kind of has the same thing of, why do I have to have a full-time job to pay for daycare? Why can't I do my own thing? And if my kids wander in during a meeting, hey, you know what? That's the way it is. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. Running a business is one thing, but doing it successfully with your spouse is a whole nother dynamic that Jay and I both understand very well. Does your staff ever comment that they're amazed that you two work well together, or that you encourage them to be better people on your example? Or how does your staff feel about working for a husband and wife team?
Well, I think that they enjoy themselves. I like to think that they enjoy themselves. There's always ups and downs. I think for us, we were fortunate enough to work together, in a relationship, not owning our own business, but work together and had that before we owned our own business. And I think that kind of translates that it's easy for us for the most part.
That's good.
That our staff sees that and understands that and sees that, we put forth the effort to make their work environment as enjoyable as possible. And in turn, they put forth the effort then for us to try and make our work environment as enjoyable as possible,
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's worked out quite well. We're still married. We still love each other.
Yeah.
So
Same with Jay and I. There are days where our staff is like, okay, separate corners, you guys. Like to play nice. But for the most part, Jay and I really enjoy working together, and having him not down here every day has been a change for us.
I'm sure.
So used to hearing his voice in the building all the time. So I think either you can work with your spouse or you can't. Most people I know are like, no.
Yeah.
To both of you, who and or what inspired you to pursue this career and lifestyle? And Elizabeth, for your other career as well.
For me, there's a lot of chefs out there that have that story of like, I grew up, cooking with my grandma or my mom, and it just inspired me to be this great chef. And I don't really have any stories like that. I cooked with my mom and my grandma and things like that, and cooked with my dad on the grill, but it wasn't ever anything that I thought I was going to take into, my future. And then when I graduated high school, I told my mom what my plan was, and it did not involve college. And she said, that's not really a great plan. So you can go to college and we'll figure something out. And fortunately for me, the Art Institutes International of Minnesota had been at the high school probably a month or so prior to this conversation with my mom when I was 18. And I just said, I'll do culinary arts. Why not? I'll just, whatever. That'll work. And it got my mom off my back. And I got into school and started doing it. And I'd never worked in a restaurant prior to college. I got into the school, started doing that, got a job in the kitchen, started working, and just realized like how much I actually enjoyed it. And I actually did well in school, and it just something, I don't know exactly what it was, if it was luck or what, but something just clicked. And it's just been kind of nonstop from there. 13 years at a private golf club up in the cities, and now to doing this and running my own business. So, it's just been busy. It's been busy, but that's the restaurant industry. That's the life that we
right. And not everyone can cook well or, even amazing. And I know every time we've been to the Cup, it's been amazing. And I always drool over the pictures on Facebook. Like, boy, that looks good.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
How about you, Elizabeth, for your other career as well as
Yeah, I would say for me, it was a lot about finding and pursuing different positions that kind of help mold me to find what it is that I am passionate about. Mm-hmm. So, for example, when I was in high school, my brother was in a bad car accident and needed brain surgery to make it through. And I was like, I'm going to be a neurosurgeon. And then I found out how much schooling was involved in being a doctor and a neurosurgeon. And I was like, I'm not going to be a neurosurgeon. My dad was in marketing and he traveled around the world and he had a fancy office. And I'm like, I'm going to do marketing because that sounds like fun. To school for marketing and Spanish. And then when I graduated, I was a sales manager for the former Marshall Fields, now Macy's. And there were things that I loved about it and things that I didn't love about it. And so, it led me to take a different position where I was a sales manager at a private country club. There were, again, things that I really liked about that, things that I didn't like about it. So I did some soul searching and moved into a recruiting position where I recruited nationally, and I really liked recruiting. I really liked helping people. But then the recession hit in 2008, 2009, and one day I had a job and the next day I didn't. And so again, I was forced to kind of reevaluate what did I like about my jobs? What did I not like about them? And I really liked helping people land different jobs and careers. And so I saw that Rasmussen College was hiring. And I interviewed and have been with them for 11 years ever since. I really found something that I was passionate about. So for me, it wasn't necessarily a person. It was more of a culmination of circumstances and paths that kind of led me to where I am today.
Sure. I'm familiar with that because that's kind of what happened with me too. I started out in one path because my dad said I should. And then I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And then the move to Fairmont where I was like, what am I going to do in Fairmont? And then being an entrepreneur was something I never saw in my path at all. But, you know, things just happen along the way and you roll with it and go from there. So let's see. What kind of collaboration outside of your personal lives will be needed for the CUP, not only to push through the economic crisis thanks to COVID, but also to improve your business model for the future? I know that you mentioned you're already making changes for the monthly tastings, which I've heard are just amazing. But anything for the restaurant in general, or what precautions are you taking?
I mean, for us, a lot of our business hasn't changed. It's still the collaboration with our local vendors. You know, fortunately, COVID really hasn't impacted the farming community in the sense of, you know, being able to get out and work in your garden and, you know, have your hens lay eggs and grow mushrooms. And so we're still able to get those into our establishment. Obviously, the cost of food has gone up, right?
Yeah.
We've seen the cost of meat grow exponentially.
Right.
So there are things that we're going to have to kind of shift and, to use your term, you know, your vernacular, pivot on. We need to continue to support our community. So continue to buy local, and in turn, we hope that our community continues to support us and can ebb and flow with these changing conditions and, you know, face masks and social distancing and the different things that we need to do to ensure that we can deliver a safe dining experience. So we just need patience and continued support from our community.
Right. And I think that that's really important. A lot of people are not patient. When you go to some of the larger stores, I've found that I don't like going. Going there because people are either really rude or they're really nice, and you just pray that you hope, you know, get to the nice ones. But I think some people have been abused in those situations so much that they're going to be nasty no matter what, because they're just expecting to get slammed. So I'm hoping that people are graceful with everyone, especially with more things opening up and the restaurants are changing a little bit too. I ate at El Agave today because we really want to support local, and you know, the social distancing, I'm sure it's really hard for restaurants when you're used to being able to have them, you know, a full house, and you have to space them out.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, in restaurants in general run on pretty slim margins. And so you're really not making what you should unless your restaurant's full. I mean, that's the goal, is to have a restaurant full of people that are enjoying what they're doing. So I think it's tough. It's a tough atmosphere for restaurants right now, and the people that are creative and can figure out ways around and make things work, and you know, we're smart business wise prior to this are the ones that'll eventually come out
right,
or on the other side of it anyways. Maybe you won't be, maybe you're probably not going to be ahead of the game, but you're at least going to be out on the other side.
Right. Hopefully we don't hit anything like a second wave or anything that'll shut us back down again, because I think that the whole shutdown was hard for everyone in general, you know, just even from a mental point. But then when it involves our jobs and our economy and stuff, that makes it even tougher.
Yeah.
Well, Jay and I, let me see. Sorry, lost my place. Lastly, encouragement and positive reinforcement are a much needed set of words in our daily life. And when we receive it in our business life as well, it really seems to be 2 or 3-fold. What encouragement would you give to anyone watching who wishes to pursue an entrepreneurial task, such as a cup and saucer, but it doesn't need to be in the food industry?
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of for me, it's always just been about kind of putting your head down and getting to work and working hard, you know. And I mean, if it's going to take a 14, 15-hour day to get everything done, then it's going to take a 14, 15-hour day. And you know, in the restaurant industry, you know, for me personally, like, that's about all that I can speak about, because that's all that I've ever done.
Right.
But that's all that it requires is, you know, you got to be creative about what you're doing, and you got to be able to work hard and long hours, and you just got to be able to do it. So if you're into the restaurant industry and you're into that kind of thing, then that's what you know, you like food, that's what you're going to be doing, you know.
Right.
And the faster that people get that thought process, the more successful they'll be in that industry. So
I think that's the case with other industries too. Sorry, Elizabeth.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
For us, you know, a lot of our friends and family don't understand, oh my gosh, you work all the time. It's because we don't want to work for anyone else. We enjoy what we do.
yeah.
And we see a problem and it's like, okay, we just need to get it done. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. If we have to postpone something, we have to postpone something. But on the flip side of that, if we have some time, we can go do what we want then as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep. The other thing I was going to say is, you know, you're always going to have the naysayers or the people saying, why are you doing that? Or you should do this. Something that Seth's really held true to is his vision and our vision of doing local scratch cooking. We don't have a deep fat fryer. We don't have a grill. We don't have a flat top. So, you know, we're limited in terms of what we can offer, but what we do offer is exactly what it is that we want to be putting out. And we've had people write handwritten notes saying, like, what are you doing? You're never going to make it. You know, I don't even know how to read your menu. And like, I mean, just really negative marks. But in the face of that, you have to know what your vision is, and you have to stay true to that. Because we never would have seen the success that we have if Seth was like, all right, let's just get a deep fat fryer and fry some pickles.
Yeah, you know, we'll just do burgers.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. You know, it's like you do take input from people, you know. I mean, everybody, the collaboration part of it, you know, you take what you can, but at the end of the day, the buck stops with you as a business owner. You know, like, this is what I want to do. This is where I've focused how my business is going to run and operate, and we don't really let anybody deviate us from that path, you know. And
and I think it'd be really easy to go along to do what other restaurants do, but one thing that attracts me to you guys, and I know we don't make it over there as often as we would probably like, but even just seeing your Saturday morning posts about the different French toasts, I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds amazing and not anything I would have thought of. So it's nice to have a different take on things than just, you know, running a McDonald's or even just going out to a regular restaurant where you can get the same thing over and over and over. So I think it's a really special treat to come there. I'm hoping that Jay's mom and dad will want to come this Saturday.
The last piece of advice, though, Tanya, that I would give is for any youth that are watching to pay attention in school, because you never know when one well-written essay is going to change your life. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We worked with the ProStart kids in the culinary classes at the high school in Fairmont this last year, and that was one thing that we tried to stress on them. Like, I mean, if you pay attention in school and you know how to write an essay, someday you could own your own restaurant just like that, you know. So
right, you never know what opportunities are going to become available, and if you've paid attention, then you can go very, very far.
Yeah.
Well, Jay and I would like to thank you both so much for being not only our guests on our ICE podcast, but our first ever guest on our Thursday podcast. Again, Cup and Saucer is located in Sherburn, Minnesota, in the western part of Martin County, and it's open Tuesday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be found on Main Street, right in Sherburn, and on Facebook at Cup and Saucer. If you want to drool, follow their Facebook page for sure. Next week on the show, we will have Matt Owens. He's a sheriff's deputy in our area who is also an entrepreneur with a side business that he has primarily on his own, and a business that he and his family, with great focus on their children, fill the tummies with lots of yummies. On behalf of both Jay and I, would like to thank the viewers who tuned in to check out this ice thing, and we hope that you found the message of inspiration, collaboration, and encouragement to be useful in your personal and professional lives each day. Thank you very much, Seth and Elizabeth. Jay, were there any questions? Sorry, I kind of skipped over that part.
There were not. We just had some hellos and some interesting stories from some viewers.
Awesome. It will be available for rebroadcast on the Facebook page as well as on our YouTube page. And you guys are more than welcome to share it on your page as well.
Great.
Excellent.
So I think that's fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank
you
you.
too.